As you know, I have been very vocal about what I think about regarding what is happening in Gaza. I have also been very vocal in saying that you should not confuse the Jewish faith, the Jewish people, with what the IDF is doing and what some of their citizens, a lot of the citizens, I might say, act, and think about what is happening in Gaza. This video, I will provide a link to the video on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's from a news channel, EDN. Apparently, they are from the United Kingdom. They have a lot of news there. Some of them I agree, others I don't. But I think it's very important to show you this video and talk about it. Okay? Again, I'm not being monetized. Okay? So I will not earn 1 cent from this video. Even if I am someday monetized, this video will be exclusively for members. Okay? Because I don't do reaction videos, I don't do any of those shit. I might react to a music or a song that I like, but that is something that I consider with this now. I don't do those compilations of reaction videos. I use videos as a starting point for a conversation I think we all should have. And this is what we're going to do. First, we are going to watch this man speak. He's an Holocaust survivor. I want you to listen carefully to him because he probably, by the logic of nature, has not much time in this world. And it's important for us to listen to people like him. So please, without any bias, let's just listen to the man. Okay? Thank you. Sorry about this. Let me just unmute. Okay.
What's happening in Gaza is a Holocaust. And what is currently being designed by the Israeli government is the final solution to their Palestinian problem. And as a Holocaust survivor, my reaction is not in my name. Extermination, dehumanization, starvation, blockade, lack of water and medication, the destruction of the health service, the hunting down of doctors, the hunting down of journalists, safe places which turn out to be not safe at all, but traps, concentration camps, all this together makes a clear Holocaust. Clearly, all these elements are not in any way different from similar actions by the Nazis during the Second World War. Gaza is an open-air concentration camp. In a sense, it's an extermination camp because there is no way out other than dying through bombing or disease or lack of food. Only alternative is to agree to be replaced somewhere where you don't want to be. I had not only the experience of the Holocaust and the hiding and the discrimination, etc., but the fighting went through our particular area where we were hiding. When we came out, when it was all over, I saw total devastation, just like when you see the pictures of Gaza, destroyed buildings, piles of rubble, dead horses, dead people. I see exactly the same in Gaza. However, the great difference is that what I witnessed was a byproduct of two armies fighting. And what I see in Gaza is a deliberate destruction. And I think it's a degree evil, greater evil than what I've seen. The license, which has been employed against the Palestinians, it's all based on the Holocaust experience. But rather than making the conclusion that this is something that we have to learn for and make it impossible to be repeated to any other people. They are actually using it as a license to complete lack of accountability towards any other people. I'm thinking now of when Netanyahu says never again is now. This is a very clear reference to the Holocaust experience, justifying whatever they are doing. They are permanent victims no matter how aggressive they are towards others. And another example, when the Israeli ambassador to United Nations, before making his contribution at the Security Council meeting, very theatrically put on a yellow star. I found that particularly upsetting and disgusting, because I had to wear the yellow star even at age 7 in 1944. But they continually making this connection and using this cover to acquire impunity, total impunity. And that is deliberate policy of the Zionists and the Israeli state. They create an increase of anti-Semitism the world over because they conflate Judaism with Zionism and their current policies. And as we know, a very large number of Jews who have a sense of justice are against it all. And yet they pretend to be speaking and acting on behalf of all Jews. It's amazingly damaging to Jewish people the world over. So not only has it become obvious that the Israeli state and Zionism are producing a genocide in Gaza, but it is actually the very worst thing that could have happened to the Jewish people who are associated with these dreadful acts. For Jewish people, and particularly anyone who survived the Holocaust or their descendants.
Just pause here. If anyone feels bad about watching this video, I would not blame you for simply stopping. Okay? Let me be clear. But me, I'm a type of person that believes that you should face the truth, no matter how horrible it is. Okay? Let's continue.
To dissociate ourselves from the actions of the Zionist state is extremely important, and how important it is proven by the reaction we get from the general public, who are grateful for our stand, making it clear that the Jewish people are not a solid bloc on the side of the apartheid and genocidal Israel. Because due to the Holocaust, Israel and the Zionists claim total impunity, and we see it in practice that this is accepted all around. They should not be in any way free of being called out as fascists, like we call out fascists elsewhere where we see them. And sadly, Israeli policies are now driven by clearly fascist characters, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, amongst others. The comparison between the extreme actions of the Zionists and the Nazi regime has a long history. Albert Einstein and Hannah Arendt, in their open letter in 1948 in the New York Times, signed by many others as well, had already pointed out that the policies and beliefs of the Zionist organization Herut, which later morphed into the Likud party, had similarities in their ideology to the Nazis. If a comparison with the Nazi philosophies and practices was acceptable then, so soon after the Holocaust, it surely must be acceptable now, and we must protest against the taboo of not making any comparisons between the genocidal actions of Israel and the Nazi regime. This latest initiative of theirs of setting up a so-called humanitarian camp is just another concentration camp. Once entering it, and you are forced to enter it because there are no other places going to be left where you are free from being bombed. So once in that camp, you are not allowed to leave except Apparently, the plan is, except for a foreign country. Supposing you don't want to leave, the conditions inevitably were so awful in these camps because they're overcrowded. There will never be adequate medical services available. So there will be slow diminishing of numbers by wastage and death through deprivation. It's a clear case of genocide. And the parallel is obvious with Nazi camps. Some Nazi leaders, well known for being kind to animals, and because the Jews regarded by them as human animals, they're going to be, like they would be to animals, humanitarian in executing the complete extermination. For example, by trying to avoid them knowing about their fates early enough so that they don't suffer anxiety. This was their kind of humanitarian approach to camps. So it's not a new concept, this kind of humanitarian camp idea. Once you are set upon an ethnic cleansing and a destruction of a people, it's inevitable that you have to prepare it with dehumanization of your subjects whom you're going to perpetrate all this on. Otherwise, you wouldn't get cooperation from anybody in executing this plan. I think the drip effect of being brought up in these conditions distorts people's views both intellectually and emotionally.
How many civilians have been killed in Gaza, from what you know?
Who gives a shit?
Okay, but don't you feel like, for example, children?
Children grow up to be Arabs.
And I found that, sadly, even a part of my family which suffered the Holocaust and ended up in Israel had been completely reformed by this propaganda. This even affected the cousin who was a teenager during her deportation to Auschwitz and was put to work in warehouses where they were sorting the clothes of those who were killed in the gas chambers. And on one day, she had to sort her own parents' clothes, which must have been an enormous trauma. Eventually, she came back, she survived. And when I met her in Haifa, I found her racist, completely racist, just like all the others. And frankly, I found it almost incomprehensible that somebody with that experience was prey to this propaganda. Any comparison between what's happening in Gaza and the genocide there and the Holocaust, World War II, and any denial or prohibition of a comparison is a taboo which must be broken because it's quite clear and it's declared by the leadership of the Israeli government that the aim is ethnic cleansing and extermination.
אנחנו משמידים את כל מה שעוד נשאר מהרצועה ולא משאיר אבן על אבן. אני אומר לכם, פשוט תסתכלו על הסרטונים של מה שקורה ברצועת עזה. במשך 1.5 חודשים לא הכנסנו סיוע הומניטרי לרצועת עזה. האם הייתי רוצה להימנע בכלל מהצורך להכניס גרגר לרצועת עזה? גם לא לאזרחים? יכול להיות. גם מים אנחנו לא צריכים לתת לרצועת עזה. אנחנו מפרקים את עזה ומשאירים אותה כאויי חרבות עם הרס מוחלט וחסר תקדים בעולם. והעולם עוד לא עוצר אותנו.
If we witness what is going on daily, the continuous murdering of the Palestinian civilian innocent population, witnessing all that and not protesting or looking the other way is making us accepting a virtual rebirth of a fascist regime. Then we have to resist it in order to be on the right side of history. And with regard to Netanyahu, he kind of impersonates all that. He is obviously a war criminal, as it has been established, but we mustn't make the mistake of thinking that it is simply to do with Netanyahu, because the leadership all around him, and unfortunately a majority of the country, are of the same mind.
If you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow, I would press it in a second. I would press it right now. Give me that button and press it right now.
There you go.
And I think most Israelis would.
A recent Hebrew University poll has shown that 82% of the Jewish Israeli population agrees that there are no innocents in Gaza. And what is needed is a complete dismantling of the Zionist state and the Zionist movement. And we have to resist the tendency towards the travel in the direction of fascism at every stage. Fascism, which happens in stages, incrementally. We can see this tendency, this direction of travel already clearly in, say, Germany and the United States, particularly on university campuses. And more we find this incremental increase of limiting free speech and the freedom of protest here in this country. I was eyewitness to how the leader of Stop the War coalition was treated. Suddenly,
This country, United Kingdom. Okay?
the police converged on him as if by an order and very violently knocked.
This country, Canada. This country, Europe. This country, the United States. We are all this country. Remember that.
Him down and piled on top of him. Because it was a totally unnecessary and shocking piece of violence, I thought it was intended as a message to a movement supporting the Palestinian people that they are after us. Subsequently, people that were standing right next to me, Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell, were called in for questioning on their caution. Others were also called in for questioning on their caution, including myself. It's a very difficult problem because at times to resist the official line and tendencies goes with great risks. Nonetheless, if you don't do it, you acquire guilt by association, by indifference. It's one kind of guilt. And there had been, in my experience of the Holocaust, very brave people who went against. It is possible at great risk. Well, I just want to mention an actual example of how brave people can resist, at risk certainly to themselves, but able to resist the evils of the day. There was a friend of our extended family called Emil Wiesmeyer. He was an owner of a printing works. He was not Jewish, but was against what was going on. And at night, at his risk, he was printing false documents to save Jewish people. He took enormous risks. Obviously, if he was discovered, he would have been executed without any doubt. You've got to take risks. This is the conclusion. If you want to be on the right side of history, you can't avoid but have to take risks. You don't have to be a hero, but you have to be able to take a degree of risk, a risk with your career maybe, or your qualifications if you are a student, which some very brave people are doing. But maybe this should be on a much larger scale. As the mainstream media turns the other way and minimizes or doesn't represent the truth about what's going on in Gaza and the West Bank, I think it's extraordinarily important to have platforms like Double Down News, which does tell the true story. And I think it should be supported. So if you can, support Double Down News on Patreon.
All right. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is exactly what he has just said. Support the authors. Support Double Down News. Okay? From me, an anonymous voice on the internet. Now, let's dig into the video and about this. First of all, this gentleman, he is not the first Jewish person, that I have heard talking about this. He's British, as you can see. And what I meant when I said this country, all of us, because all of our governments, either by inaction or by their lack of being able to risk their own asses to do something about it, they are all accomplices in doing nothing to stop this, to stop what is happening in Gaza, to fall prey to this blackmail that the IDF is doing to its own citizens, sorry, to the rest of the world. You are not a racist. I am not a racist. You are not anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Semitic. Definitely am not anti-Semitic. I don't believe in any superiority of anyone or anything over other people. Okay? I believe people are different. I believe people are individuals. Okay? If we are similar, we are in a group, but to me, no group is superior to other groups. All deserve to exist. All deserve to have their space. And I know a couple of racists are going to tell me, well, then you also don't believe that the white people should have their own home and whatever and this and this. No, I am for controlling immigration. I like my culture. I like my culture. My culture is Portuguese. In my case, with some German in me too, and to an extent French. And I like my culture. I like my history. I like the way I was raised. I like the values and ethics that were given to me. Mm. I like it and I want to preserve it and I want it to continue. So don't come into my comment section talking about Muslim takeover and all of that shit because I won't tolerate it. You want to talk about that shit? Go talk somewhere else. Muslims are barely 5% of the United Kingdom. And I keep seeing on news people talking about the Muslim takeover. First of all, I don't give a rat's ass about who your imaginary little friend is. To me, religion is something that is personal, something that I discuss with the people that are close to me. I don't impose my religion to anyone else. I was raised in two very different type of religions, one pagan, one Catholic, Christian, and both of them are very well indeed in my mind. I don't need to be converted and I don't need to be saved. And I certainly don't need to save others. And if you're a Christian, I will tell you what my dad told me. My dad told me a Christian is known by his actions, not his words. Do you think it's Christian what is happening? What our countries are doing, supporting the IDF, giving them weapons to do this, doing jack shit to stop this? It's serious threats. It's sanctions. Sanction them. If you start sanctioning them, this will end. Oh, the Palestinians did this and this that. This did not start now. This started back in 1946. Palestinians were living in their homes and they were kicked out by Israeli settlers. They were expelled to Gaza and to the northern parts of Palestine. They was expelled to other countries around the area so that the Israelis could install themselves. So from the beginning, from the get-go, they did not want peace. Israel did not want peace. To be more precise, because I don't want any type of confusions in my words, Zionism did not want peace. And who is to blame? Not just them. United States and the UK, and as first promoters, and also all of Europe, the Soviet Union, today Russia, and even some Arab countries around it that tolerated this situation. And now we have this situation that we have to solve. And the solution for this entire problem is already on the table. It can be used to give a solution to this. Okay, I don't want the state of Israel to be destroyed. No. Why? It's already there. I'm not going to go into the same rhetoric of, for example, Muslim zealots or other extremists that believe it has to be destroyed. No. But the Palestine state has to be protected, with Gaza and the northern parts of the Jordan River. They deserve to exist. You want to build a wall, you want to completely stop them from entering Israel, do it. Do it. Isolate yourselves. Let the rest of the world take care of Palestine. But no, you keep them depending on you for energy, for water, for food, for the right to exist. And that is not correct. Build a wall, okay? Don't let people pass. If they pass your wall, it's your responsibility. Defend your wall. You want to live in that situation, you don't want to have a normal border with your neighbors and be at peace with them, then that is the price you have to pay. Okay? We normal people want the Palestinians to have their home, to have their place to live in. Okay? That is what we want. We don't want Hamas. We don't want IDF. Neither of them have done anything good for their people. But to try and picture them as an isolated movement when his story began, like I will say again, in 1946, this is when this story began, is pure hypocrisy. I want you to meditate in the words of this gentleman. I hope this video is not taken down, because I think people need to listen to this, okay? Like I said a couple of days ago, and even I have said this more than once, okay? Some time ago, here in Portugal, there were a couple of kids talking. One of them, it was even half black, but he was a Portuguese, a Cape Verde guy, meaning half Portuguese, half black. They are one of the biggest let's call it African communities here. Let's just say it like this. Okay? They behave more like Portuguese than other communities. Okay, but they were sitting in a table next to me, and basically they were talking, and one of them said Hitler was right, and me, of course, I didn't say nothing. Okay, I'm not going to enter in dialogues. Uh, uh, Meddle in other people's conversations, at least here in Portugal, unless someone is clearly offending you, my water, uh, people choose not to meddle into other people's conversations. It's not polite. We are not Americans. Most Americans. People are confusing the people that died in the Holocaust, in World War II, with these people. This is why I'm posting this video with this deposition from this man, a Holocaust survivor. He was there. He knows what happened. Even if he was an infant, I remember things when I was his age. So he he probably remembers it too. And I don't think that is something you forget very easily. This is very important because We have to separate the waters. If you are living in an area, the Jewish people in Portugal are a very small minority, okay? But they exist, okay? But a very small minority. But if you have a synagogue in your area and you are angry about what the IDF is doing, and even if some people that go to that synagogue are Zionists and support this, for you to attack that synagogue, you are not attacking the root of the problem. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Don't confuse the Jewish people with this. Don't confuse an Israeli person with this. I have spoken with other Israeli people, at least two, and both of those people, they had left Israel because they could not take it. They could not take the hatred, the confusion, the speech. Okay, you will tell me they were cowards. They did not want to face it. Try to live in the same situation as them. Like my dad also told me, try to put yourself in the other person's shoes in their lives and see how well you will do. You will do. Don't say that. Don't hate people. Don't attack people. You want to, for example, do a peaceful protest outside an Israeli embassy. For example, do it. But what we are seeing here now is that even some governments are collaborating with this. You know, you are seeing what is happening in the UK. You cannot support Palestine. You are a terrorist. Why? Would I be a terrorist by making this video? By telling you that the IDF is wrong? I don't hate Jewish people. As I told you, I don't want the Israeli state to be destroyed. I don't care particularly about any kind of narrative or religion in this sense. I am not promoting violence. I'm just saying one simple thing. Palestine, a state. Israel, a state. Leave Palestine alone. Israel doesn't want to interact with Palestine. Don't. There are other countries around him that will provide them. For example, Egypt can provide space for energy infrastructures for Gaza and water. In the north, Syria or Iraq or whoever, okay? Or even made structures to help the people. Politically, well, they have the right to do whatever they want politically if they are not controlled by anyone. I mean anyone. If they want to install a Sharia state, who I don't care. As long as they are not attacking other people, none of my business. Because they have a right to live as a country. This is how you have to be. Like Iran. No, the Iranian people have to decide what they want for their future. If they want to live like this, who am I to tell them don't live like this? Am I a God? Am I God? Oh, I'm speaking the voice of God. Okay. No. All Jesus said was to not be an asshole for other people and don't do to them what you wouldn't want anyone to do to you. Basically, to be honored. And he was a Jew. According to some conspiracy theories, he was not a pure Jew. He was half German. He was half German, sorry, half Roman. Well, so was everyone probably in the entire Roman Empire. And what is to be Roman? Tell me what is to be Roman. That is a very vague concept. When the Romans took over, definitely the country that is today Portugal, they used our soldiers to feed their cavalry units because our citizens were extremely good knights, let's call it like this. They were a very good auxiliary horseback infantry. So they gave them Roman training and integrated them into the legion. Every family had to give at least one boy, one boy or one man to serve in the Roman legions. It was the price that we paid for resisting. Others were enlisted in the Roman legions. They defended the empire for a couple of 100 years or 200 years more. Our language was changed because of Latin, of the Roman language. We still have some remnants, some parts of our uh, Celtic origins, but the Romans shaped our language. This is why Portuguese, for example, is people pronunciate words in a different way. It has to do with that too, because since we were more heavily populated by Celtic populations, even our language is a bit different. In the north of Spain, excluding the Basque country, the north of Spain, and in Portugal, because we practically had to settle the country again because so many people were killed. Okay, we are basically a friend of mine that is an anthropologist. He said they had done a genetic study of the Portuguese, and they have discovered that around 80 to 90% of us were not that dissimilar from, for example, an Irish. Okay, so what are we? We are going to be part of this great Celtic nation, and we are going to expel all the others that perhaps have a bit of more Roman blood or African blood or whatever. Because this is the logic that is behind this. And the truth, the very disturbing truth, is that those Palestinians are probably Jews and local people mixed in, and some of them converted to Catholicism, to Christianity, sorry, and others converted to Islam. The majority of them converted to Islam, but there are also Catholics in the Palestine. In Palestine, there are Catholic Palestinians. Are we going to play this game? No. Let's do a genetic analysis of the Jewish people too. The Jewish people, the Israeli people. Let's see where they come from. Let's do genetic analysis of their bloodlines. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you this war is a futility. Israel can exist, but Palestine must exist too. Even if they drive out all of the Palestinians, they are voting for their own demise. Because, like we say here in South Portugal, dia da caça, outro dia do caçador. Or dia do caçador, outro dia da caça. Meaning, one day it's the day of the hunter, and the other day it's the day of the hunted. You understand the logic of that? Hmm? Well, I I hope you liked this video. I would like you to please listen to this gentleman, to listen to his testimony, and especially go and visit this YouTube channel. Go give them a like if you like, of course. I'm not promoting the channel. I'm not in any way associated to them. I just saw this video and I thought it was important for people to watch them and to send it to a broader audience, because it's important to listen to voices like this, voices of people that lived through a situation and that are now talking about it. Because these people are going to disappear, okay? They are mortals like us. They are going to die, and then their voices will be muted. Okay, then people will be able to say it's AI, it's this, it's that, instead of seeing the bare truth of things. I heard from the German side, from my grandfather, that heard from his family, the German side of the war. My, let's call it, genetic homeland, it exists no more. Doesn't exist. Even if I wanted to go back to the land of my forefathers, I would only find a forest. It was burned. It was obliterated from history because of a war, because of an idiot with a funny mustache, meaning two idiots with two funny mustaches in World War II. Nazis and Soviets, they're the same shit. And anyone that doesn't want to compare to them should read up a bit on what Stalin did to his own people. Oh, and also he wasn't even Russian. He was Georgian. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you don't like it, I won't hold it against you. I know this is a hard thing to talk about, but consider it. Okay? Do your own fact checking, and please check out the channel. Like I said, I'm going to leave the link to the channel and go watch it. Okay? And whatever happens, this video will never be monetized. Okay? I am not going to make 1 cent out of this. I just thought it was important to listen to the voice of a Holocaust survivor. Every kid in school should listen to testimonies like this one. And I think in the future we are going to have people that are surviving the Holocaust in Gaza talking about it too. And then what? We are going to have some very bad reactions in the future, and I honestly fear for the Jewish people, for the people of the Jewish faith. No one wants another Holocaust in any form to anyone. No one wants to see those scenes again. No one wants to see that. So, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you all in the next one.